Hi there, it's Lee Thurburn, and I want to welcome you back to another episode of Live Stream Lee, where we talk about business. We talk about business so that we can help each other, help you, help me um, grow faster, learn, become more profitable, generate more revenue, retire earlier, get more time to spend with our family, have a business that's more valuable at the end of the game so that when we sell that business, which is pretty much the goal we all have, to be able to actually get more for it. So that's why we're here. And I hope that you find what we talk about interesting. Today, we're going to be talking about the concept of big dreams. What does that mean, big dreams? Why do some people have big businesses and other people have small businesses? A lot of people that have small businesses would like to have big businesses, but they don't. So we're going to talk a little bit about what causes or helps some businesses become big and what keeps some businesses from becoming big. Before we get started, as usual, I want to make sure that you know about livestreamlee.com and the benefits that you get by going there and joining our community. Livestreamlee.com has a community. It's built on the Apricot Rocket system. When you join our community, you get an account on Apricot Rocket, which is free. Apricot Rocket is a powerful digital marketing suite of tools. It's a CRM, a shopping cart, marketing automation tools, and a lot of other things, including lead generation. One of the benefits you get when you create an account is we ask you to profile your business, tell us about your business, and tell us what you sell. And then we're going to try to help you find customers. We're going to send customers your way if we can find some. So we're going to generate leads for you, and we're going to help you grow your business faster. So go to livestreamlee.com and join the community. You also get copies of slide decks and documents that we reference here. There's a complete business plan online. Actually, it's a full private placement memorandum, complete with spreadsheet, cash flow projection spreadsheet. There's a whole bunch of stuff there that you'll find valuable and useful. So go to livestreamlee.com. And when you're there, remember to look for a guy named Bob Hampton. Now, Bob is a guy that you need to know. Bob is a business planner for businesses. He's a financial planner for businesses. He focuses on helping business owners develop an end game financial plan that maximizes the amount of cash they're able to put in their pocket at the end of the game. And isn't that why we all do it? To be able to retire comfortably and have something to live on other than just Social Security. Who wants to be a greeter at Walmart? Raise your hand. Not me. Well, that's why Bob is what he does, to help people not have to be a greeter at Walmart. Nothing against that. I always love saying hi to the greeters at Walmart because I got to tell you, that's got to be a tough job. If you don't want to be one of those, get in touch with Bob. Go to livestreamlee.com and click on the Bob Hampton link. Now, tomorrow on Wednesday, the 21st, we're going to be visiting with Susan Stageman. Susan is a master certified NLP trainer. She is awesome at what she does. If you don't know what NLP is, you need to know. Be sure and tune in tomorrow at 3 o'clock as we get to know more about Susan. We're going to have a special Wednesday interview. Normally we do these on Friday, but Susan wasn't available on Friday. She's got a conflict. And so I asked her if she would be willing to do it on Wednesday. And she said yes. So come listen to the interview about Susan. And if you're a history buff, you're going to really enjoy the conversation that we have scheduled for Friday the 23rd. Dan Nelson is a genealogist. Now, I kind of thought genealogists were weird people that like looking in antique documents and looking at history and stuff. But you know what? I have changed my mind now that I know Dan. Dan is a master storyteller. Dan does a lot of digging around in people's ancestry, which of course is what genealogists do, and he finds interesting stories. In fact, that's kind of the reason why he does what he does, and that's why people hire Dan, to go find out about the stories about the people in their ancestry. Dan sends out a newsletter every couple of weeks. Last weekend was when his came out. And I got to tell you, he had a fascinating story in there about why John Wilkes Booth was able to get away with shooting Lincoln in a crowded theater and nobody noticed it until, of course, after it was done. In fact, nobody even heard the gunshot. You know why? Well, if you don't know why, you need to read Dan's newsletter. It's because somebody on stage told a joke and the laughter was so outrageously loud that nobody heard the gunshot. And the thespian assassin, John Wilkes Booth, knew that the joke was going to be told. He knew what the reaction would be. It's a fascinating story. You want to know what the joke was? You need to read Dan's newsletter. It's a great newsletter. So now with all that said, we're going to go ahead and just jump right in to our conversation about big dreams. Why does it seem like some people follow in the footsteps of their parents? You know, kids that have parents as doctors will often become doctors. Kids that have parents as pastors will often become pastors. Look at Franklin Graham and his father, Billy Graham. What about actors? There's plenty of actors out there who have become well-known actors in their own right, in large part because they had famous parents. John Mills' daughter Haley Mills became, well, I had a big crush on Haley Mills when I was a little kid. That's why I've got that one in there. But Haley Mills followed in her dad, John Mills' footsteps. Patrick Wayne followed in the footsteps of his dad, John. Now, he didn't achieve the same degree of notoriety and fame that his dad did, but that's kind of unusual too. Jaden Smith is following in the footsteps of his dad, Will. Why do they do that? What about politicians? You know, the Roosevelt family had two famous presidents, Teddy and Franklin. The Bush family, of course, George Herbert Walker and George W. Bush, and Jeb. Now, Jeb didn't make it to be president yet. We don't know about the future, but he certainly tried. You know, the reason that a lot of these people become what they become is because they grow up around, they have the ability to truly visualize what it looks like to be a doctor. What does it look like to be an internationally known pastor or an actor or a politician? What do they learn something from their parents that gives them an extra ability? What is it that happens when you have kids following in the footsteps of their parents? You know, a big part of what it is? It's that the kids can actually see somebody doing it. You know, becoming a doctor is not an easy task, but if you grow up as a kid of a doctor, you see on a daily basis that it can be done. And while your parents may be smart, you grow up realizing that it's not just smarts that get you there, it's also hard work. When you grow up around politicians, you mingle with them and you see that these are just ordinary people that do things that enable them to have positions of prestige and power. I actually had the pleasure of going to a couple of events where I met George Bush W, the young son, and got to shake his hand, get a picture taken with him. You know, I know he wouldn't remember my name. That's not the important thing. It's just when I was able, when he was a Texas governor, to stand side by side with him and get a picture taken, I basically was able to realize that this is just a guy. You know, it's President of the United States. You see him on TV, flying around the world doing stuff. He's just a guy. Same thing happens with like Benazir Bhutto, a magnificent woman that was a selfless, courageous leader in Pakistan who was assassinated. But I saw her on stage, sat in the front row. She was, 20 feet away from me. Here's an international figure that it was a mover and shaker in the Middle East during her time. And I got to hear her story and realize that she's just a person. So one of the things that allow people to do what for many of us are extraordinary things, a lot of it is just being around others that do it. And you see that it's normal people doing this stuff. So why do some people have bigger businesses than others? I have a lot of friends that are professionals and they're really good at what they do, but they have little tiny businesses. Why is that? I know people that they have lawn care businesses. They have great little lawn. Some of them have really good sized, decent little lawn care businesses. Others have little tiny lawn care businesses. Why don't they have a national franchise like True Green? What about people that own hardware stores like Arlington Hardware Store? Why didn't they grow and become Home Depot? Why doesn't Bubba's Burgers become McDonald's? What is it about these companies that they don't make the leap to be huge? What are the differences between visionary leaders and the rest of us? People like Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs, he had the concept of a PC for everyone. When he built the Apple IIe computer, his goal was to build a personal computer that anybody could use. When he came up with the idea for the smartphone, he took an existing concept, phone technology, portable mobile phone technology, and he reinvented it with a smart screen. He started Pixar, arguably one of the most innovative film, animation companies that there are. He came up with the idea for the iPod, which led to iTunes, which completely disrupted an entire industry. One person with 3 or 4 or maybe 5 incredibly powerful business ideas that ultimately grew to create this huge company that is now Apple. He was instrumental in it. What about Bill Gates? He envisioned a PC on everybody's desk. Jeff Bezos, he created Amazon. He took an online, e-commerce website concept, and he did something incredible with it. Mark Zuckerberg created a social network. If you believe the movie, it was kind of almost dumb luck. It certainly wasn't something that he created with the idea in mind of it becoming the dominant social platform on the planet. Elon Musk, God, what a great story Elon is. If you listen to some of the stuff that he's published, when he was a kid, he thought of himself as being unique and different and wasn't quite sure, kind of thought he was a little strange. He himself thought he was a little strange. He's a visionary. He believes that the human race is probably going to extinguish itself unless we become a multiplanetary species. And so that's actually the passion and vision that drives SpaceX. How he got to be able to afford SpaceX was Tesla and the Boring Company, and what led to that was PayPal. He's created some incredible things. What's the difference between these people and you and I and most of us that have businesses? Well, a lot of it boils down to what I think of as the motivational ladder. The majority of entrepreneurs, if you've ever read the book, The E-Myth by Michael Gerber, wonderful book. Both the E-Myth, the original version, and the revised E-Myth revisited. Gerber's written several other books that are along the same vein, the same concept. And it's a lot of information. He was a consultant, a business coach, and he wrote a lot about, how to help business grow bigger. And, what he describes as the reason a lot of people get into business, it's really related to what he kind of describes as the equivalent of an entrepreneurial spasm or, something along those lines. Bottom line is you learn how to do something. You learn a craft, you learn a skill, you learn a trade, you learn a profession. And then you go to work somewhere, and at some point you reach a point where the person or company that you work for, you decide that you don't like the way they do things and you can do a better job. And so you decide to go off and do it yourself. That's kind of a cathartic event. A lot of times it's almost a reaction to the frustration or the pain or the environment in which you're actively pursuing your profession, and you say, I can go do this myself. A lot of people, matter of fact, the majority of entrepreneurs don't consciously get into the business that they're in and say to themselves, I'm going to go build a big business. And most of the ones that do build a big business do it in an almost accidental sort of fashion. They are rocking along doing something, and then a confluence of serendipitous events occurs, and they find that gosh, there's a demand for what I got. Let's just grow it a little bit, and they start stair-stepping it up. Very few actually get into the business that they're in with the idea in mind from the get-go of building a big business. The majority of people sort of just get into it, almost fall into it because they can't think of anything else, better to do with themselves. But the people that build big businesses are usually driven by some combination of a feeling of purpose, passion, certainly vision. And vision is a critical word. Vision is often the defining word for why some businesses are big and others are not. A lot of people get into business. Like, let's say you're an air conditioning contractor. You work for somebody else's air conditioning company. You learn the skills of the trade. You get good at what you do. And at some point you decide, I can make more money than this bozo I'm working for. And so you go start your own air conditioning company. And because there's so many people that need what you do, if you provide a good service and you do good work, you're going to eventually hang out long enough, last long enough, you're going to become successful. So those people kind of approach the concept of vision almost backwards. They're looking for the satisfaction of objectives and goals first. So they want to make sure that, like, my objective is to get all the equipment, and my goal is to start my business and work for myself. And eventually I'll get a mission, and I'll say that my mission is to provide really great service to everybody. And then maybe someday I'll get a vision for the company. And that vision might be to build a business that has lasting value and can service all the clients in Collin County, something like that. So you work backwards into a vision for what the company is. And vision can be described as, what do we want to be when we grow up? What do we want to be someday? And how do we get there is your mission. What do we want to be as the vision, and how do we get there as the mission? And the mission has more details, goals, and objectives that attach to it. But most people get into business kind of working the wrong way. The people that tend to be the most successful tend to be people that understand on the front end what they want to accomplish. Jeff Bezos understood that the internet was going to dramatically rearrange the way things were done. He had a vision for creating an e-commerce business, and he looked around and said, what can we sell online that's reasonably valuable so that people will be willing to pay the shipping charges as opposed to just drive down the street and buy something? And he came up with books, and then that led to everything else. Books was a good choice. Steve Jobs had the idea for the Apple computer with Steve Wozniak early on, and then that led to the next vision, to the next vision, to the next vision. Elon Musk might have been and might be one of the most visionary. Now, I won't tell you that as a kid, when he realized how bright he was, that he said, I'm going to build a spaceship system that'll allow us to colonize Mars. But as he became successful through his PayPal success and the Tesla success, he realized that he had the economic might to be able to create something truly impactful in the history of humankind. And that's the SpaceX Mars colonization thing. So Elon and Steve Jobs were driven much by a sense of purpose and passion as they built the vision and established the mission for their companies. They went into this not so much driven by the monetary aspect, which is actually honestly what drives most small business people. The goal to make more money as an air conditioning contractor by working for myself than I can by working for the person that I work for. So, the motivation, I think of it as the motivational ladder. The foundational rung on the motivational ladder on which everything else can and should be built is a sense of purpose, which drives a passion to see something occur, which gives you the vision for how to change the reality of the world to encompass this purpose and passion that you have. And then your vision drives the mission and the goals and the objectives. So there's this pyramid, the foundation of which really is a sense of purpose, upon which the passion is built, and then the vision, and then so on. So, if you have a powerful vision, purpose, and passion, you're probably going to be more likely to see something big happen in your world. But why do so many people not go make something big happen? Well, the reality is there's a lot of obstacles out there. It is not easy to make something big happen. There are examples of people that got extremely lucky and became wealthy by building a business that just blew up. Mark Zuckerberg, I think, really is kind of one of those. Based upon what I understand, he created a software platform almost as a joke, certainly not out of a conscious decision to build this huge, valuable thing. But when he started to get a lot of traction and demand, he realized quickly that he had something that was unique. And, to his credit, he managed to navigate the tricky waters of growth and capital accumulation to allow the company to grow. But most people are confronted by years of hard work and long hours. They have a lack of true vision for what the future, what they could build, and how that it would be better than what they have. They also have a lack of training. Most people don't go to business school, and they don't understand a lot of the fundamentals, and so that causes it to be more difficult for them. And being an entrepreneur is filled with a lot of stress. You have a lot of hours, you have a lot of hard work. Yeah, it can be a lot of fun, but it can also be extremely stressful. And if you have a family, it can be really tough on your family. Your quality of life can take a real nosedive. So those are some of the obstacles that people encounter when they try to get into the world of business and try to grow. But what's the major difference between small and big? It's really about, I think, two things: internal drive and the vision that you have for the future. If you are driven to accomplish big things, if you feel like you have a purpose here on this planet that is more significant than simply punching a clock and making a living and saving some money and then sitting on the bank of a lazy river and fishing in your retirement years, if you feel like you have a real purpose to this life and you're driven to accomplish something, then you only need to match that drive with a vision that's powerful. If you can do that, then the issues of long hours and hard work and training, they'll end up resolving themselves. So if you have a big dream, do you have the big budget to go along with it? Now, the concept of the big budget is not just simply how much money do you have to spend. There's a lot of sort of elements to that. I've identified about 15 things that are sort of sequentially necessary for you to take a business and make it into a big business. Now, I've been through this process one time myself and seen it happen. And because I've seen it happen, I know it can happen, and I'm doing it again. So, I'm going to lay out the primary things that are the most important things for you to be able to get right if you want to have a big dream happen and become reality for you. Okay, a lot of small things. First of all, number one, you need to have a clear idea of what problem you're going to solve for people, because that's why people buy things from you, because you solve a problem. And you need to know that what the value of this solution is that you provide. So when people buy the solution from you, what value do they get out of it? Okay, now, who has the problem? So these are sort of a sequential building sort of series of steps. Once you know the problem and how valuable the problem is, you want to know who has the problem. You want to know that with crystal clarity. Now, you might have a great solution for a small number of people, that doesn't allow you to build a big business. You need to find a large audience of people, a large addressable market. So you need to know how many people have the problem that you have a solution to that'll find your solution valuable. And then you need to know clearly what your competitors are offering. And equally important, how you are different from your competitors. Now, it's not enough just to be different from your competitors, but there's a couple of things that go along with that. You have to be able to communicate that difference with clear articulation. People need to be able to quickly and easily understand the difference. And in their minds, not yours, in their mind, that difference needs to be significant. They need to be able to see enough difference to say to themselves, wow, I want this other solution, the one that you're offering. And then that difference needs to be protectable by you. In other words, you need some aspect of how you do business that is actually able to be sustainably protected so that your competitors can't simply watch what you're doing and then go duplicate it. So you need to be able to protect this difference that's in fact valuable. And then you need to answer the question, okay, great. You've got a difference that people like. Will they pay you for the difference? If they won't pay you for it, and you're probably going to want to charge maybe a little more than the less effective solution because your solution is more significant. Probably costs you a little more because you're younger at this. You probably have a little higher cost. Will they pay you for the difference that they perceive you can bring to the table? And then if they will, can you scale it? Can you find enough people at a cost-effective cost of acquisition? In other words, can you identify a target-rich environment? If you can't identify a target-rich environment where your cost of acquisition is enough lower than the lifetime value, and you need to know what that is. You need to know what the lifetime value of a client, a customer is. If your cost of acquisition, here's your lifetime value, here's your cost of acquisition, and that's what's left over. Your cost of providing the service has to be enough less to where you have a real margin to be able to work on. How fast is that cost of acquisition going to be returned to you based upon the cycle of advertising? And then you're going to have to test. You're going to have to create a combination of message and media, and you're going to have to test how the market responds to the message and the media that you select to get the message to the market. Now, there's a lot of things moving. There's a lot of moving parts here. And that's why it's not easy. And that's why it's hard work. And that's why it takes long hours. And there's a lot of people that honestly, they would like to make a lot of money, but they're not willing to work hard. And the fact is, you're not going to make a lot of money unless you're willing to work hard. That's just the way it seems to work out, unless you count on luck. Now, I'll tell you, I never turn down luck. I will take luck every day of the week if you can give it to me. But here's the reality of the world. Luck comes to those who are prepared for it. Luck comes to those who have done the hard work in advance so that when that lucky break actually does arrive, they're ready to take advantage of that lucky break. Luck doesn't come to people that don't work hard. It does, maybe occasionally. Certainly you can hear about it. The person that drops a nickel at the airport as they're about to jump on a plane and they make $10,000 or make $1 million in a slot machine. Yeah, that's just dumb luck. And it does happen, but that's almost like gambling, and that's gambling your life. If you want to get a sure thing, and there is no really sure thing, but the closest to a sure thing in life that you're going to get is hard work, education, and coming up with a business idea and then spending the time to make it happen. But if you think about it in advance, and if it matches your sense of purpose and passion that you have in your life, and if you have a big enough vision, then you too can be an Elon Musk or a Steve Jobs or any one of the other people that have become massively successful. And then someday, people like me will be talking about you like I have been talking about Jobs and Musk and the rest. So it can be done. It helps to be around those that have already done it, because seeing that it's done and that it can be done is a powerful motivator for helping you to overcome the obstacles that you are going to encounter. I hope this has been helpful. It's a subject that's near and dear to my heart. I have a big vision and I'm building a big company. I'm hoping that you'll come and join me. So with that thought in mind, I'm going to ask you to go to livestreamlee.com and click on the Join My Community link and get access to the content that I'm providing, as well as the other documents and stuff. I think you're going to find it very useful. And before I leave, I want to tell you about a guy that I really like working with. His name is Bob Hurt. You can see, actually, I'm going to need to turn this camera a little bit. You can see over there in the corner, let me point to it. There we go. Over there in the corner, I've got this really cool shirt that looks a lot like one of those Star Trek uniforms. It's got the logo on the breast pocket for Apricot Rocket. It's my corporate swag. And I shopped around, and Bob Hurt with Impressions Unlimited is the guy that I asked to set me up. He's been in this business for 50 years. Bob knows what he's doing, and he's got great prices. If you need corporate swag for your business, get in touch with Bob Hurt. Go to livestreamlee.com, and while you're joining our community, click on the Bob Hurt button and learn more about how you too could end up with some beautiful swag like what I got. All right. Well, thanks for joining me for today. And tomorrow we're interviewing Susan Stageman. So come back and see us tomorrow at 3 o'clock. Thanks for your time today. Bye.